May 2012, Quebec, Canada, 5:03 a.m. A SWAT team moves through pre-dawn darkness, 12 officers in tactical gear, assault rifles raised, battering ram ready. They're surrounding a modest suburban house. Inside, a man sleeps peacefully next to his girlfriend. He has no idea that 30 law enforcement officers are about to kick down the door. The pounding on the door jolts him awake as officers force their way inside. Boots thunder on hardwood floors. He wakes up to armed officers in his bedroom.
Police, hands up, get on the floor.
His girlfriend screams. Within seconds, he is face down and cuffed, barely awake. As he is let out, she tries to get closer. Officers hold her back. In the garage, investigators find printing equipment, industrial-grade offset presses. In the basement, they find paper, stacks of it. In a closet, they find money, bundles of $20 bills wrapped in plastic. They count quickly, almost $1 million. In a drawer by the bed, they find something else, a small bag of cannabis. His girlfriend is in shock. She doesn't understand what is happening. Frank sits in the back of a police cruiser, hands cuffed behind him. He looks not at the cops, but at her, then looks away. His name is Frank Bourassa, and somewhere in Canada, he is the man who counterfeited $250 million. Trois-Rivières, Quebec, 2008. Frank Bourassa sits in his home office, staring at a wall covered in newspaper clippings, magazine articles, and printed web pages. All of them about money. Not how to earn it, not how to invest it, how it's made. The inks, the paper, the security features, the machines that print it. Frank is 38 years old, stocky build, confident eyes that miss nothing. He's already made money, legitimate money, built a brake pad manufacturing company from nothing, sold it for a profit. But Frank remembers what it cost him. 18-hour days, sometimes 20, years of grinding, waking up at 4 a.m., falling asleep at midnight, missing birthdays, holidays, life. All to build something that made him comfortable, but not free. There had to be a shortcut to a better life without spending it only for work. A way to beat the system. A way to get the result without the decades of sacrifice. Frank Bourassa wasn't looking for a business opportunity. He was looking for a way to cut the corner. What if you could manufacture the one product that sells itself? Think about it. Every business has the same fundamental problem: finding customers. If you sell cars, you need people who want cars. If you sell food, you need hungry people. Marketing, advertising, sales teams, endless overhead. But money? Money needs no marketing. Nobody refuses money. Nobody compares prices. Nobody reads reviews before accepting a $20 bill. Nobody says, "I'll think about it," when you hand them cash. The demand is infinite. The customer base is literally everyone on Earth. Frank starts researching counterfeiting. Not the amateur stuff, inkjet printers and regular paper that fools nobody. The serious operations. The North Korean supernotes that even bank machines can't detect. The Colombian cartels printing hundreds of millions. What he discovers surprises him. Almost everyone gets caught because of the paper. The US dollar isn't printed on regular paper at all. It's printed on a special cotton linen blend that's been supplied by a single American manufacturer for decades. This paper doesn't glow under ultraviolet light like regular paper does. It has a specific texture, a distinctive crackle when you fold it. It survives thousands of folds without tearing. Buy this paper legally? Virtually impossible. Most counterfeiters try to approximate it. They bleach lower denomination bills and reprint higher values. They experiment with paper blends. They age paper artificially. They all fail. The paper always gives them away. Frank stares at his research wall. Everyone tries to fake the paper. What if he could get something close to the real thing? Late 2008. Frank Bourassa looks at his phone, takes a breath, and makes the call. Good morning. I represent a private investment consortium. We're looking to produce corporate bearer bonds with high security features. The sales representative is interested. Bearer bonds are legitimate products. Banks issue them. Corporations issue them. They require security features to prevent forgery. Frank explains his needs. The bonds will be denominated in US dollars. They'll be used for international transactions. They need to withstand scrutiny. What specifications do you require? This is the moment. Frank reads from a list he's prepared. His voice doesn't waver. Cotton linen blend, no optical brighteners. We need it to pass UV testing. The representative doesn't flinch. This is standard security paper. What about embedded features? Frank's heart pounds. He keeps his voice steady, almost bored. We need a watermark. I'll send you the image file. It's the portrait of our company's founder, a distinguished gentleman, very important to our corporate branding. The image file is Andrew Jackson's face, the same portrait that appears on every US $20 bill. We also need a security thread embedded in the paper. It should behave under ultraviolet light the same way currency-grade threads do. The sales rep makes notes. This is unusual, but not suspicious. Clients have strange requests all the time. Frank's girlfriend enters the room. Who were you talking to? He answers calmly, a friend. The company sends a quote. Frank doesn't negotiate. He pays immediately, tens of thousands of dollars for a shipment of paper that, by his calculations, will be enough to print hundreds of millions in fake currency. Months later, a shipping container arrives at customs. Frank sits in his car across the lot, engine off, binoculars in his hands. He watches every movement, every gesture, every pause. Customs officers move between containers. Forklifts hum. Metal doors slam. Frank's container is lifted. It starts to move. Then, a hand signal. Stop. Frank stiffens, doesn't breathe. An officer steps closer to the container. Another officer joins him. They talk. One of them asks for the documents. Frank watches through the binoculars, doesn't blink. The paperwork is handed over. The officer scans it. A line catches his eye. Printed plainly, security paper. The officer nods, hands the documents back, signals to proceed. The container moves again. Frank exhales. The container arrives at a warehouse Frank has rented under a shell company name. At the unloading site, a parking lot outside the warehouse, Frank waits. He is with another acquaintance. The man unloads scanners, radio detectors. They circle the container, slow, methodical. They scan the walls, the doors, the floor. Nothing. They open the container. Cardboard boxes stacked neatly. They scan the boxes, one by one. Still nothing. Inside the printing facility, Frank opens one of the boxes. Inside, industrial rolls of security paper, cotton linen blend, watermarked with Andrew Jackson's portrait, embedded with security threads that behave like real currency under UV light. Frank runs his fingers across the paper. It feels right. The crackle, the texture, the weight. He holds a sheet up to the light. Andrew Jackson stares back at him. This is it. I'm going to be rich. Here's the irony. Everything Frank has done so far is technically legal. He ordered custom paper, paid for it, received it. No laws broken. But having the paper is not the same as having the money. Now, Frank needs to turn it into something that fools everyone. Early 2009, somewhere in rural Quebec. Frank is in his girlfriend's house, 10 p.m. He looks into his girlfriend's room. She is asleep. He kisses her and leaves. He stands in a rented warehouse, surrounded by hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of printing equipment. Offset lithographic presses, cutting machines, drying racks. The same technology used for newspapers and some legitimate securities. He spent months sourcing machinery, piece by piece, shipped to different addresses, assembled in this warehouse by Frank himself. Frank studies the $20 bill the way an engineer studies a competitor's product. Reverse engineering, quality analysis, process optimization. The modern 20 is a masterpiece of anti-counterfeiting technology. The portrait uses intaglio printing, ink raised off the paper surface, creating texture you can feel with your fingernail. Color shifting ink on the numeral 20 that changes from copper to green depending on viewing angle. Microprinting so small that the United States of America appears as a thin line to the naked eye. And of course, the paper, the watermark, the security thread. Frank has the paper handled. Now he needs to match everything else. He hires a graphic designer, tells him it's for a movie prop project. The designer produces master files, digital recreations of every element on a $20 bill, precise to the micrometer. He sources specialty inks through suppliers who don't ask questions. The exact formulations used by the Bureau of Engraving and Printing aren't available commercially, but close equivalents exist. Chemical analysis, trial and error. Dozens of test prints burned after examination. For 2 months, day by day, Frank prints test bills, studies them under microscopes, compares them to genuine 20s, adjusts, reprints, burns the failures. Then, one night in March 2009, he prints a bill that makes him stop breathing. He holds it up to the light. The watermark glows perfectly. He runs his finger across Jackson's portrait. The texture is close. He tilts it under a lamp. The 20 shifts from copper to green. He pulls out a counterfeit detection pen, the kind every cashier uses. He draws a line across the bill. The mark turns yellow. The correct response for real currency. If he didn't know this bill was fake, he'd have a hard time telling. Frank drives to a gas station 20 miles away, 2 a.m., empty parking lot. He buys a pack of gum, pays with his test bill. His hands don't shake. The cashier takes it, holds it up to the light, rubs it between her fingers. Standard checks. It's a few seconds, but for Frank, it's eternity. She puts it in the register and hands Frank his change. He walks out with $19.12 in real US currency. The bill works. Frank Bourassa has done what the Secret Service considers nearly impossible. He is on the way to a better life, to be free from hard work. Frank brings to his girlfriend flowers. She is happy. But making perfect money is only half the problem. Now he needs to sell it to people who kill for a living. Summer 2009. Frank's warehouse runs 24 hours a day. He's hired a small crew. They work in shifts. Print, cut, stack, bundle. Each bundle contains $10,000 in fake 20s, 500 bills, crisp and perfect. But printing money is only half the problem. The other half, the dangerous half, is getting rid of it. If Frank walks into stores buying things with fake 20s, he'll get caught within a week. Surveillance cameras, witness descriptions, geographic patterns, amateur hour. He needs wholesale distribution, and that means entering a world he's never been part of. Frank Bourassa is a white-collar guy. Business lunches, spreadsheets, negotiations in boardrooms. His entire career has been built on handshakes with suppliers and contracts with clients. Now he needs to sit across from people who solve problems with bullets. The first meeting is in a parking garage, Montreal, 11 p.m. Frank arrives, wearing a polo shirt and khakis. He looks like someone's accountant. The men waiting for him do not. Tattoos, gold chains, eyes that have seen things Frank has only read about in newspapers. These are organized crime figures who move drugs, weapons, stolen goods, people who need cash that can't be traced. Frank's heart pounds, but he keeps his voice steady. This is just another sales pitch. Different clients, same principle. His pitch is simple. Fake 20s for about 30 cents on the dollar. Give him $30,000 in real money, get $100,000 in high-quality fakes. The buyers are skeptical. They've seen counterfeit money before. It never holds up. One of them leans forward.
If this is garbage, we'll find you.
It's not a threat. It's a statement of fact. Frank doesn't blink.
Test them.
He hands over samples. They test at banks, at casinos, at high-end stores. The bills pass. The first deal closes, then the second, then 10 more. Word spreads through the criminal underground. There's a guy in Quebec with near-perfect 20s. White-collar guy, looks like a tax attorney, makes money you can't tell from real. The businessman who spent his career avoiding risk is now meeting bikers in warehouse parking lots, cartel middlemen in hotel rooms, gang members in strip club back offices. Every meeting could be his last. One wrong word, one suspicious glance, one deal gone bad. He wanted freedom from the grind. Instead, he traded one prison for another. the prison of always looking over his shoulder. But Frank treats each transaction like a business meeting: professional, calm, reliable delivery, consistent quality, customer satisfaction. The irony isn't lost on him. He's running the most illegal business in Canada, using the same principles that made his brake pad company successful. In 6 months, he's made more than in 10 years of legitimate business. The shortcut worked. Over the next 2 years, his underground print shop churns out tens of millions in fake 20s. The bills surface across the United States and Canada, in stores, gas stations, even casinos, and for a long time, few people realize they're all coming from the same source. The Secret Service and Canadian police start detecting anomalies. Banks report unusual numbers of 20s with similar characteristics. Forensic analysis reveals bills that are almost perfect, but not quite. They know someone is flooding the market with high-quality counterfeits. They just don't know who. Frank Bourassa has become possibly the most successful solo counterfeiter in modern history. He runs it like any successful entrepreneur would, but every business has a weak link. Secret Service Headquarters, Washington, D.C. A forensic analyst stares at two $20 bills under a comparison microscope. She's been doing this for 11 years, can usually spot a fake within seconds. Wrong paper, wrong ink, blurry microprinting. This one is different. The paper is correct: cotton linen blend, proper weight, no optical brighteners. The watermark is embedded, not printed. The security thread behaves correctly under UV. By every standard test, this bill should be real. But something is wrong. She increases magnification, studies the intaglio printing on Jackson's portrait. The lines are crisp, but not quite right. The ink sits on the paper instead of being pressed into it. She's doing exactly what Frank did 3 years ago. Same microscopes, same techniques, same obsessive attention to detail. The difference? She's paid to find flaws. He was paid to hide them. It's the difference between a genuine engraving and a perfect photograph of an engraving. Almost impossible to detect without laboratory equipment. She adds the bill to a growing file of supernotes. The Secret Service has a problem. Over the past few years, they and Canadian police have identified tens of millions of dollars in these supernotes circulating across North America. The bills are appearing faster than they can track, and unlike most counterfeiting operations, there's no clear pattern, no obvious cluster of activity. Whoever is printing these bills has solid operational security. In Quebec, Frank reads about Secret Service investigations with professional interest. He knows they're hunting the bills in circulation, tracing street-level players and networks, not the man at the press. Frank isn't stupid. He knows this can't last forever. Eventually, someone will talk. The freedom he bought with fake money? It was always borrowed time. He starts planning his exit. What he doesn't know, one of his clients has already been compromised. To speed up his exit, Frank agrees to meet a new buyer, a big one, introduced through his criminal network. Frank gets a call. March 2012, Montreal. The client sits in a coffee shop, waiting. Frank Bourassa enters, stocky, confident walk, scans the room before approaching. He sits down. The client looks like a typical criminal buyer, but something is off, and Frank feels it, but can't place it. I need $100,000 to start, test the product, see how it moves. Frank nods. $100,000 is manageable, low risk, standard procedure for a new client. If the quality is what they say, I'll be back for more, a lot more. The deal is already in motion. Backing out now would look suspicious, worse than suspicious, dangerous. They arrange the buy, parking lot outside a shopping mall. Frank will bring the counterfeit bills. The client will bring payment. They shake hands. Frank leaves, sits in the car, looks in the mirror for a second. Frank tells himself he's being paranoid. He starts the car. In the surveillance van, officers exchange glances. They have him on tape. The intuition of Frank was right, but the trap is already set, and Frank is already in. April 2012, shopping mall parking lot. 8:03 p.m. Frank pulls in, driving a rented SUV. Nothing traceable to him. In the back, a duffel bag containing counterfeit 20s. First delivery, $100,000 in fake bills, the test run. He's done this exchange dozens of times, but something in the air. Frank has survived this long by trusting instincts. Right now, instincts are screaming. He circles the lot twice, looking for anything out of place. Surveillance vans, unmarked cars, people sitting in vehicles for no reason. Everything looks normal. He parks next to the client's car. 8:07 p.m. Frank gets a backpack with payment, hands over the duffel. The client checks a bill under UV light. The security thread glows green.
Pleasure doing business.
They drive away in opposite directions. The next day, the client calls, a voice full of excitement.
The product is perfect. My people are thrilled. I need another 100,000. Same terms. Can you deliver tomorrow?
Frank hesitates. 2 large deals back to back with a new client. This is exactly the pattern that gets people caught. But the money is real.
Tomorrow, same place, 8 p.m.
What Frank doesn't know, this time, everything is different. 8:05 p.m., the second exchange. Everything is smooth. Frank gets a backpack with payment, hands over the duffel. In the van,
Package delivered. Subject heading north.
500 meters, a helicopter tracks his SUV. Frank checks mirrors constantly. In the helicopter,
Subject turning onto Route 138.
Frank doubles back. In the van,
He's checking for tails. Stay back.
Frank relaxes. The road behind him is empty. 500 meters above,
We have him.
he drives for an hour, random turns, doubles back twice. The surveillance team stays with him. 8:47 p.m. Frank pulls into a rural property, his girlfriend's place. They photograph the address. They have enough for an arrest warrant, but they want the printing operation, the paper supply, the hidden cash. For weeks, they watch, track, photograph. Frank feels something is wrong. He can't prove it, can't see them, but he knows. Frank arrives at his girlfriend's house. She meets him at the door, leans in to kiss him. He guides her inside instead, closes the door. Frank moves to the window, looks out.
Frank, what happened?
Nothing. I thought I saw something.
He sits with binoculars at the window, watches every car that passes, times how long they stay. The freedom he built feels like a trap closing around him. They schedule the raid for May. Frank Bourassa has exactly 3 weeks of freedom left. He just doesn't know it yet. May 2012, 5:03 a.m. A SWAT team moves through pre-dawn darkness. 12 officers in tactical gear, assault rifles raised, battering ram ready. They're surrounding a modest suburban house. Inside, Frank Bourassa sleeps peacefully next to his girlfriend. The pounding on the door jolts him awake as officers force their way inside. Boots thunder on hardwood floors. He wakes up to armed officers in his bedroom, shouting, ordering him to the floor. His girlfriend screams. Within seconds, Frank is face down and cuffed, barely awake. Frank's first thought, this is it.
Frank Bourassa, you are under arrest for producing counterfeit currency.
Frank's girlfriend looks at the officers, then at Frank.
This is some kind of mistake.
She looks at Frank. He avoids her eyes. Officers find the printing equipment, paper stock, and printing plates. In a drawer by the bed, a small bag of cannabis. An officer bags it as evidence. In the house, almost $1 million in counterfeit 20s.
I want my lawyer.
The United States wants Frank Bourassa. The Secret Service has been tracking his bills for years. They want him in an American courtroom, facing American justice. If extradited, he faces 46 to 60 years in federal prison, essentially a life sentence. Frank wanted freedom from working hard for years. Now, he is about to lose his freedom entirely. The shortcut was an illusion. Freedom was never real. Was it worth it? Frank's girlfriend sits in the courtroom. She is distant. From time to time, her eyes meet Frank's. At one point, she looks at him, as if waiting for something. An explanation, an apology, anything. It doesn't come. Frank leans forward to his lawyer.
Somewhere in Canada, there's around $200 million in counterfeit 20s. I'm the only person who knows exactly where. If I go to prison for a long time, that money finds its way into circulation.
The lawyer stares at his client.
I give them everything. Money, plates, technical specifications. In exchange, minimal time. No U.S. extradition.
Frank negotiates like he's closing a business deal. Because in his mind, he is. He has a product the government wants. Information. He has leverage. $200 million they can't find. He has a price. His freedom. It's the same skill set that made him a successful entrepreneur. Now he waits to see if Canada will buy what he's selling, or hand him to the Americans. June 2012. Police convoy moves through rural Quebec. Frank Bourassa directs them to a storage location outside Montreal. The door opens, nobody speaks. Boxes everywhere, stacked on pallets, floor to ceiling. Each box containing bundles of counterfeit 20s. One officer pulls out a bundle, holds a bill to the light. Andrew Jackson stares back. Days of counting. Final tally. Approximately $200 million in counterfeit 20s, plus printing plates, digital files, technical specifications, everything needed to understand and prevent operations like Frank's. The same information that made him dangerous now makes him valuable. July 2012, Quebec Superior Court. Frank Bourassa pleads guilty to reduced charges, full cooperation, $200 million recovered. The judge sentences him to time served, 6 weeks, plus a fine of $1,350 for cannabis possession. Someone in the courtroom laughs and catches themselves. Frank walks out a free man. His girlfriend's seat is empty. The deal worked. Not all losses are negotiable. Today he sits across from security executives in a tailored suit. Business cards. Security consultant. Same knowledge, same obsessive attention to detail, now used to show banks how to catch people like him. Entry to the US is permanently closed. But journalists call. Documentaries. Conferences. He makes more per speech than he ever made selling brake pads. Yesterday criminal, today consultant. The skills are identical. The label depends on which side of the table you're sitting on. And Frank Bourassa has sat on both.